Oh, the pad beats the keeper. Crowd roars, but just the one, a leg by.
Well, that was a rather unusual deflection that completely bemused Geoffrey Dujon. Wessel's going to turn the ball on the leg side, deflects the ball behind the stumps.
Beautiful shot, beautifully timed. Greg Ritchie races out towards square leg. Bit of soccer work. They're through for two. The big crowd roar their approval. That fine shot off his pads, beautifully played.
Davis to David Hooks. That's a beautiful shot by Hooks. Great timing, and it's the first time there's been something to cheer about for the Australian followers for quite some time. That was a beautifully timed shot. Marsh is going to look for two. He'll have to be quick. Makes it. And in fact, a little bit of pressure on for the run out there.
And the fate that befell him in Melbourne almost befell him again here in Sydney. 4 for 132, and if Australia can win this match, they'll be over that moon.
We'll get two there if Hooks can come back quickly enough.
Australia exactly 1 run per over behind the required run rate.
Get two there. Nice shot from David Hooks. They'll look for three. Marsh is coming back. They have to take all those runs, and they have to hit some boundaries as well. Davis to Marsh.
And that's beautifully timed by Rodney Marsh. Just what Australia needed. Boundary, they probably need a couple more of them.
Great fielding from the old boy. Perhaps not so much of the old boy. That's beautifully placed. That's where they won't want to bowl to Kepler Wessels. You can bet your life Lloyd has told Winston Davis not to bowl anything there. Clive Lloyd. Oh, yes. Well, he might be 40 years of age, but it doesn't stop him pulling off one of the better run-outs we're likely to see this summer. Took him a moment or two to get started. When he did, he was really motoring, and Border knew he was in trouble there. That was confirmed for him just a second or so later. Davis to Wessels.
Nearly a run out. Wessels pegged down, took the risk, just eased it up to mid-off. A quick call. Good response from Graham Wood. And diving Kepler Wessels would have been very close. I think he would have made his ground. That's the advantage of making that quick call and setting off. There's no misunderstanding.
Could be out. There's a man getting under it away down there at long leg and grasps it very well indeed. Winston Davis takes the wicket. Michael Holding ambles around for the catch, and Graham Wood has gone.
What a great catch down at fine leg by Michael Holding. He made it look easy. Went up really high. Didn't have to travel all that far, but what a great pair of hands he's got down there. So Australia losing their first wicket in the 14th over, that of Graham Wood out for 21, Australia 1 for 42.
Kepler Wessels being sent in to open the batting once more here. He has batted at number 3 since Alan Border has become captain, with the exception of the second innings of the Adelaide Test match when he was forced to open following the injury to Wood. Just past him, was hit in the air, but just wide of Richardson, and even the athletic and sure-handed Richardson couldn't get across to take the catch. So that's Australia's 50, 1 for 52.
David Boone.
So Boone gets his first run off his 20th delivery, and Australia, after 20, are 1 for 61.
And somehow or other, the Australians have got to burst the West Indies bubble at the moment. They're right on top, dominating the Australians. And I guess that Kepler was wishing that the ball looked as big as that coming down.
It's got a message on it somewhere, and quite obviously has amused Wessels and umpire Randall.
That's a nice shot by Boone. It's not often you get one pitched up like that to deal with in that fashion. The problems the Australians have got out there is that they don't get many half volleys, and unless they're going to be putting themselves in a position to pull, or indeed are good pullers, it's going to be pretty hard to come by runs. Nice drive again. It's 2 out of 2 in that direction. Boone getting himself 4 runs from 2 balls, which is a step in the right direction for him. He's been very slow. That's the shot. That's the one he normally plays pretty well. Look at Logie go.
That's one of the reasons why the grounds are full, is the West Indian fielding. They're absolutely magnificent. They never give away an easy boundary. Gus Logie's brilliant. Richards, Lloyd, Dujon always backs up his bowlers. Look at this for fielding. Flat out. Judged the bounce beautifully.
Boone will be looking over the top of mid-off and hoping to hit one in that direction. Wessels is coming back, and Boone is fast asleep. I can't believe it. Boone has said no, and he stood there. Wessels wasn't even looking at him and just charged down the wicket.
Well, that's what happens when you get yourself in a hole. You become desperate, you lose your concentration. Boone scampering down, looking for the second. Dujon, the throw wasn't good. We see Wessels coming. Boone reaving after the ball had gone, and he was out by 3 metres. And the second breakthrough, a tragedy for Australia. Boone run out for 20.
The new bowler from the Randwick end.
Great shot. Great shot by Border. And if ever Australia is needed what has traditionally come to be known as a captain's knock, it's today.
3 no balls in this over, 9 ball over so far.
Safely away. There's a man at long leg, but can't get it. A good over for Alan Border, but not for Winston Davis. 12 from that over, 2 for 45. 14 overs gone. Winston Davis's first over.
The Australian run rate, 3.13, which is not quite, I shouldn't think, acceptable to Border in so much as they've already lost 2 wickets. But he's done a lot of good work out here to put things right. And there's another great shot from him through extra cover. Tremendous to see Border hitting the ball in the middle of the bat and bisecting the field. It's off the edge and down to third man. So another single to Border, to Wessels' correction. He's been a lot slower than Border, as is normally the way with Wessels. And that one beats Clive Lloyd. Inside edge there from Border. And I suspect that ball was spinning away, and that probably wrong-footed the West Indian captain. Is a Victorian, Dean Jones. He has a strike rate of 98.85, and no doubt that'll please Keith Stackpole. Wilson played very well. It's way down the leg side, and Dean Jones would be a little upset he didn't latch on to that one. There's no one. It's deep square leg at the moment. Oh, he's bowled him, so he's dragged that one back onto the stumps, trying to cut the ball away. An inside edge, and the ball coming back onto off stump, and that's a big blow for Australia. I think that previous delivery showed that Dean Jones's concentration was one that was going to be full of aggression today, and Winston Davis just outside that off stump. Dean Jones looking for the cut, and as we've seen so often in this series, batsmen getting an edge and dragging it back onto the stump. So Australia losing 2 quick wickets now. Dean Jones out bowled by Winston Davis, and Australia 4 for 64.
And some rather nasty deliveries for the opening batsman. It's well run, and that brings up Borders 50. Really has been in very consistent form throughout this series.
And very well played. Over half the runs coming in with Australia in all sorts of problems, with Joel Garner running rampant, and here he is with a very good half century.
That's a very good square cut from Wayne Phillips. It landed just 5 metres inside the boundary. 7 runs in that over. It's 4 for 99.
Bit of edge.
Shot, beautifully played, Alan Border. This field, it's starting to show. Odds-on favourites, the West Indies, coming into this final. Still a long way to go, but Richie Richardson normally safe. 1 hand instead of 2.
For the first wicket against the West Indies in the tournament. Well, well, well. Well, if you're backing up and you're getting quick singles, Winston Davis just reminding Steve Smith that he has to be in his ground.
That's a sure sign, Tony, that things just getting a little tense out there. There's no worries about...
And there's the comparison after 25 overs. In the first final, Australia struggled early on, 4 for 87. And a magnificent start in the second final. No ball hammered through the offside, and that's the first boundary we've had now for 15 overs. Surprising, no sweeper back, no man deep, and the boundary by Wood piercing the offside.
Great shot that by Graham Wood. Been waiting on something, a little bit of width attached to it. When it came along, he tucked it away nicely. Very fast outfield here at the MCG. Big ground. He hit them well. And we make that boundary. So Graham Wood just needing 1 run. He's 50, and that shot bringing him back about an alteration by Clive Lloyd. Garner out of the slip, and another man out as a sweeper.
That could be another one. It will be. And that's Graham Wood's 50. 2 boundaries in succession in opposite directions, and Graham Wood has got an invaluable half century.
Graham Wood's second 50 in this series, and this one coming at a great time for the Australians.
Winston Davis to Smith.
It's a fine shot. Here quite confidently, finishing off the most expensive over of the innings. 13 runs coming from that, no wicket for 120.
Oh, and he's got him. Middle stump. So success for Winston Davis in his final over as Smith attempts to hit across. A very accurate delivery from Winston Davis.
Balls remaining with Winston Davis' spell, and he strikes. A good delivery as Smith tries to force him off the wicket, possibly hitting across the line a little bit there.
but certainly just reward for Winston Davis, who bowled immeasurably better today than he did in Sydney. Smith out for an invaluable 44, and the first Australian wicket is down, 135 runs in the ball.
An attempted bouncer there from Winston Davis. David Boone showing that he's very good when it comes to playing the pull shot. And that's good running. So from Desmond Haynes hitting the stumps at the bowler's end, and Kim Hughes very quickly taking the opportunity for an overthrow.
Winston Davis is the bowler. Kim Hughes takes straight.
An edge, which Malcolm Marshall won't stop as it goes straight between his legs.
Malcolm Marshall not pleased about that. With Hughes just opening the face of his bat there, it was a guided edge that down into the third man area, and Marshall there holding his knees as he permitted that ball to go between his legs.
It's in the air. It'll fall safe. Gus Logie has quite a chase from mid-on. And that's a good over for Australia. 2 for 54. 57 after 19. Winston Davis. And not happy about the way Kim Hughes is backing up there. And it would appear that he might have just given the Australian captain a warning.
21 off 34 balls.
What are you doing? Kimberley's saying. Winston is saying, keep behind your crease. And Kimberley is now going to talk to Michael Holding.
Have another look. He goes down with his finger there. Hughes is still clearly in his crease and would have made an absolute idiot out of Winston Davis had he whipped the bails off.
Nicely hit by David Boone away through mid-wicket. We're going to get 3. Good pick up and throw by Desmond Haynes. Nice and warm down here at the MCG. Real sunbathing stuff. Shot. And I should think the Australian captain rather enjoyed that. Winston Davis is the man who gave him a warning at the non-striker's end and then tried to run him out.
Oh, what a shot too. Beautifully hooked away there by Kim Hughes. Way down towards the square leg boundary. Beautiful shot.
Davis is the bowler. Kim Hughes takes straight.
And Hughes takes the opportunity to work one over on the offside where Richie Richardson has just been moved from. That's the Australian 100. No ball from Winston Davis. Kim Hughes gives him the charge. What a magnificent pick-up there by Roger Harper.
In the end, Davis cramped Hughes for room, but he's given the Australians an extra ball anyway. Oh, that is a good piece of fielding. The throwing off balance wasn't quite as good as it might have been.
Barry Gomes at fine leg. That's the half century for Kim Hughes.
Very good innings from Kim Hughes. Follows on another one where he played well later on. But that was a fine innings yesterday.
And partnership between Boone and Hughes. And Hughes charging. And they're through for a bye to bring up the 100 partnership. In fact, Kim Hughes has got an inside edge on that delivery. Oh, and he's bowled him right through the gap as David Boone tries to drive away on the onside. And also Probably another Yorker there. Not quite as convincing as the Yorkers of Joel Garner, but just as appropriate result.
I think you'll find that Winston Davis is learning a bit from watching Joel Garner. He's been bowling too short in some of the earlier games, but just recently in this game.
Comes from a town called Ambalangwada, where he played for his school, Dharmasoka.
A little bit of shape away to the left-hander. I guess a left arm quick in the form of Chaminda Vaas has been the one giving the West Indian top order a bit of hurry up, and so they've got one of their own today. He's not really bowling from the end, which assists that away swing from the left-hander, is he? He's got the breeze blowing to aid a ball which goes into the left-hander. Turunga just in defence at the moment. His scores in those 5 matches against West Indies A, 37, 28, 74 not out, 2 and 44. So very solid starts. And once out of 5 times he went on to post a 50, 74 not out. That's his first class career, 23 matches, nearly 1,000 runs. An average which he'd like to see a little higher than that.
So there's a wide on his third delivery. One sees that Butler is looking to try and keep the ball up to the batsman, as one would imagine that he would be looking for movement.
As we look at that picture, the wind is coming from your top right to the bottom left, so of your screen. It's coming from that little mountain over there, so he is actually swinging it against a very, very strong breeze. That probably won't last. He needs to get it right now. Early wickets have always been the case in this series so far. Breeze we talked about coming that way, and it's a warm breeze today, and we've got Dighton Butler swinging the ball that way into the breeze. A tough ask. Just worked it past that fielder that time. No, he didn't. Brilliant fielder, so they're on the ball, the West Indians. We know they can field. They showed it to all in the Test series, Ranjit.
Well, they caught brilliantly. It was their fielding really that was able to keep the Sri Lankans in check, particularly in the first innings of both those Test matches. No doubt all the hard work has paid off, and that really is a very good example of that.
Be a leg by, possibly push for 2, and they should get it. The fielder has circled the ball dreadfully and allowed an easy 2 with the fumble, almost a 3. So Turunga and Butler have finished their first overs in international cricket, 3 for none. Dighton Butler for his second over as we overlook the Dambulla Stadium. Marvin Adapatto is going to say he's going to use these big wide spaces they've left for him on the offside. They've taken a slip out, put him in short mid-wicket, and that just leaves 4 men on the offside, plus the slip. Adapatto would love that.
Yes, it's surprising that the West Indians really haven't gone in with the second slip. One might imagine that it's probably that the lack of bounce is something that has forced them into this situation. Really hasn't shown too many qualities of attacking. Chandrapal.
Oh, they're up. It's a little high, probably. No, it's not. The umpire says it's out. And Dighton Butler gets the debutant out.
Yes, Dighton Butler has been keeping the ball up to the batsman. That was a trifle short, but not short enough to go in for the pull. Did come back on him. Very, very marginal, but one got the feeling that the umpire may have got it right. So Chapul Chandra, he goes for 6, and Sri Lanka lose their first wicket for 11.
Sri Lanka's top scorer in the Test series against the West Indies comes to the crease. Kumar Sangakkara, 27 years of age. He's already played 126 matches. Average is good, strike rate not bad. Generally a bit of a slow starter who can blossom after that, but he has all the shots.
Did open the batting in the previous game due to the injury of Sanath Jayasuriya. So he's coming to the crease to play the new ball straight away.
It's a beauty too. It is a beauty. Floated it up there from a tall man, Dighton Butler. The ball that's full of a length can be tricky, especially with a bit of width, can really entice you into a shot earlier in your innings. The dismissal was just short of a length, and I think he had to be given out, Ranjan.
Yes, I think it was marginal, just short of a length, and yes, I think he did get hit on that front leg, and umpire Asoka De Silva didn't have too much of hesitation.
Again, works it into that leg side gap, just one. Yeah, I thought originally that it had hit the flap of his pad playing the pull shot, but it didn't. Whether it kept down lower than he expected or it was just a miscalculation by him to play the shot, it's hit him on the knee roll rather than the flap of the pad, and that's well and truly under the height of the bails.
Yes, Butler in fact did get that ball a long way in. It pitched almost a foot and a half outside off stump and came back a great deal.
Oh, again they stifle a shout. Got to make hay while the sun's out here at the moment. The West Indies, they're finding some uneven bounce, and Adepadu's feet were stuck in front of the stumps as well.
So it would seem that the West Indians have learned from the previous game. They seem to be keeping the ball up and looking to try and get that the lower bounce to their advantage by Steve Taufel.
Missed a chance on his leg side there. 12 for 1. Adepadu hits down the ground straight to the fielder. 2 not out from 5 deliveries. Sangakkara 8 deliveries for 1.
There's quite a disciplined effort by Butler. He's hardly dropped anything short. Just kept on making the ball get on the or get the batsman on the front foot.
Oh, it's a good tight action, isn't it? Dayton Butler's got not a lot should go wrong with his control. He's quite textbook, if you like. Very controlled, well balanced. He's a tall fellow. Slight lean into the start of his run-up, which is what you want. Then you start to gather and get your rhythm. And coil up. That back foot lands. He hits the crease. He gets that one to keep a little low, but yeah, he looks to be capable of bowling tight spells at medium fast pace.
So on a pitch like this, it's so important to have a very tight line. As one sees that balance is so important to develop your rhythm.
Back foot not perfectly parallel to that back crease, but that's fine. He's semi-front on. Opens out with the front leg, but his hips and shoulders do that as well. So you'd like all those things in line. And he's probably one that's capable of upping his pace when needed. A surprise package. If he just stays, doesn't open out as much on a particular delivery, he might get some extra whip in there. So he might be a fellow that could play around with his pace and fool a batsman. And that comes in very handy in one-day innings when the batsmen are going the slog.
Has been making up to play at deliveries, which means that his line has been very much within the stumps. And on a pitch where the bounce is inconsistent, it's so important that if the batsman misses, he hits.
14 balls without a run, 12 for 1. Okay, Butler. I guess they're trying to prevent the loss of any more top order wickets. That has been the killer for sides batting first here in Dambulla, Ranjit. But there should be more singles, a bit more urgency with a shot like that. That could have gone to third man, maybe.
Yes, I think the Sri Lankans really haven't been looking for the singles because, say, the boundaries aren't going to come as easily because the pitch it doesn't lend itself to playing too many big shots. There are a lot of singles on the offside.
That's what I was talking about. And Adipatu can do that all day if you let him, but he hasn't been. He chooses not to at times. He starts to play a little more defensively than that. Anyway, he might get onto it.
Yes, I think in situations like this, one really must look at the singles, as the singles would keep the scoreboard ticking, and that also would make the bowlers really to change their line as a left-hander and a right-hander out there in the middle.
It's elementary, but it's sometimes forgotten by the Sri Lankan top order. Another good piece of fielding by the West Indians. Deonarine is there in short mid-wicket. They've picked up that one Turanga is a player who can play through that area, and Sangakkara, if we can tie him down and not let him get easy runs into there, we'll be better off. So they've sacrificed the second slip for Butler to go in on the legs of Sangakkara. And when you talk about legs, it's probably middle and off. He's taking balls onto the leg side. It's not even leg side line, is it?
So bowling speeds of around 126. This partnership still at a very slow pace. As one sees, they've exhausted 26 balls.
Drags him onto the front foot. Very good bowling by Dighton Butler.
Draws Sangakkara in. Sangakkara on that occasion not quite close enough, but certainly getting across a little bit more than usual. Plays far too much away from his body usually.
This time he lets it go. Very good over. 7 gone, 17 for 1. Butler continues to Marvin Adipatu, who again defends, although he was looking for a single there. Got one slip in place, and they've got the catching man mid-wicket again there for Adipatu. So lots of space on those offside shots. The runs to third man, and then maybe a big cover drive in the gap at extra cover. But we're going to have a change in the commentary team. It's Sanjay Mandraker with Ian Chappell.
Thank you, Ian. He's got it through. Hasn't timed it as well as he would have liked, but the wind should do the rest.
Yes, it certainly helps to hit them downwind here in Dambulla. They absolutely race away to the boundary. Dighton Butler has been quite impressive in his debut. Got a wicket and bowled tidily, but on that occasion just gave Adipatu a bit of room. Sri Lanka playing quite steadily, which they can afford to do, certainly against the West Indies. The reason they can afford to do it against the West Indies is because they know that the West Indies have struggled to make runs. And the other thing in their favour is the fact that the West Indies really have only got 3 frontline bowlers plus an all-rounder. They're a bit of a bowler short, so you can start steadily, try and keep a few wickets in hand, and then
look to punish the fifth bowler. And I think if you can get 225, 230 here, you're a big chance to win. So I think the approach might have to be a bit more like, say, the 1999 World Cup, which was played in England, where teams, rather than trying to thrash away early in the first 15, tried to keep wickets in hand and do some damage in the last 10 overs with some wickets in hand. That may be more the approach here.
A couple of changes in this West Indian team from the last game. Ryan Ramdas has come in for Ranako Morton. And Dayton Butler, who is in action at the moment, replaces Darren Powell in the team. Now this is a very good shot. The earlier try that he played square wasn't timed well enough, but this is a glorious shot.
Well, these two shots will be a great confidence boost to Marvin Adapatu. Hasn't been in the best of form so far in either the Test series or the one-day matches. But once he gets the cover drive going, you know that good form's not far away.
And at Butler's pace, he's not taking that first step back before the ball is delivered, as he can do with the faster bowlers. And hence he was in a very good position to play that front foot drive. 28 for 1. He's run that down to third man. Last 2 overs. 19 runs scored by the Sri Lankans.
Dayton Butler had been very accurate until that last over, when 2 fours were taken from him. Marvin Adapatu playing 2 covered, well, at 1 cover drive and a square drive.
Hitting him on about off in middle. Ashoka De Silva may have taken the angle into consideration, but I think this was a pretty close shot.
Yeah, Butler does angle that way, so I think the umpire is wise to take that into account, and I think that's a good decision by Ashoka De Silva.
But an expression of Ashoka De Silva tells you what he thought about it. Yeah, close, but can't give that one. See that wide angle that is created. Hits him about middle stump. He was very much on the crease. And that is what Hawkeye says. And you can see how difficult it is for the umpire. It's grazing the outside of the leg stump. The umpires can't give those.
I think it was a good decision by Ashoka De Silva. With that angle, he bowls, he doesn't bowl from really wide, but he's about halfway between the stumps and the return crease, and everything does angle that way, so there's no way he could give that out.
No ball from Butler.
This has been or has the potential to be a better first 15 overs for Sri Lanka. Just the 1 wicket lost, and they're going at around about 4 and over.
Man of the match in the first game was Sanath Jayasuriya. Rahul Dravid in the second match was the man of the match, but the man of the series will get this Suzuki Swift 1300cc vehicle. Well, what I'm impressed with, Ian, is the compressor ratio. 8.8 to 9.2 to 1. That's what I like in a car.
Okay, explain to me what it means. Because I haven't got a clue.
Once we finish our commentary stints, I'll tutor you on that. 41 for 1. Sangakkara on 16. Same score for Marwan Adapatu. Good start for Tino Bess. 1 over 2 runs. Showed great control and variation in that first over.
Dighton Butler in his 7th over conceded just 14 runs. So he's been very tidy. 2 boundaries in the 1 over, so the rest of it has been very economical.
This Butler has provided great service to West Indies so far.
I'd prefer it if you told me about this compression rate on the car. I'm sure the viewers would love to know what you were talking about.
It's pretty complex here now. It will take a while to explain the whole thing, so it's better we do it after our stint is over. I really want you to understand it well next time when you pick a car, why the compression ratio is so important.
I can assure you that I don't pick my cars on the compression ratio. I pick them on the fact that they got 4 tyres, and it's pretty easy to find the keyhole.
Talking of tyres, size of the tyres of this car. .185, 70/14s. That's some details of the tyres, but I really go for the compression ratio more than size of the tyres and other things.
Well, I'm seeing a new side of you, Sanjay. I didn't realise you were a rev head.
Good fielding, but not quick enough. Well judged single there by Marwan Adapatu.
It's well run, realising that the fielder has got to go to his left, and he's a right-hand thrower or right-arm thrower. There's always going to be a single there.
It's a long spell here for Butler. Last ball of the 7th over. 13 overs gone. It's 45 for 1. Then you get into the all-rounders. Very clear that Sri Lanka realized this is not one of those batting paradises in the subcontinent where you start hitting in the first 15 overs, hope to get close to 300. It's a much more measured approach with, I'm sure, a target of 220 and a little more if things look good.
Good mover at backward point, Dwayne Smith. So far in this series, the 15 over scores haven't been great. See there, 3 wickets lost on all occasions except for the Sri Lankans being 60 for 2. So they're going to be much improved. I suppose it could change very quickly. They could lose a couple of wickets with 3 balls remaining, but they've perhaps sacrificed a few runs to keep wickets in hand. But I think that's a sensible ploy, particularly against the West Indies. You may not be quite as conservative against India because you know that they've got a stronger batting lineup, but I think it's a good ploy, certainly against the West Indies.
Just looking at those scores, Ian, we talked about wickets being lost in the first 15 overs, but in the second innings, you can see the runs have come. More runs have been scored in the first 15 overs. Worthwhile looking at batting second under lights. Do you think it's a much easier option?
Well, it's 9-all in all matches played here, but so far in this series it's 2 wins to the side batting second. I really think it's a case of just bat a little more sensibly in the first 15 overs and look to get somewhere between 225 and 240 rather than aiming 280 or something like that and falling well short. I think I'd prefer to be batting pretty well always. I think I'd prefer to be batting in the daylight than under lights, and I don't think these lights are great.
Just saw there the average first innings score, 195 here at Dambulla. 15 overs gone, it's 50 for 1.
Butler will continue. 8 overs, 1 for 16. It has been a good game for him. Running with the shot, gets there in time.
It's been a slower than usual start, not the type of rate just over 3 that you'd expect playing on pitches here in Sri Lanka and on the subcontinent. 4 and over from here on average will get them to 186. 6 and over around 254. Once they keep wickets in hand, I'm sure that Sri Lanka would be able to get up to 230, 240 if they keep wickets in hand.
Very good batting by these 2 batsmen. And I've got a good email as well very early in the day, Ian. It is from Sarathi Ratnaike, and he says that if you allow Kumar Sangakkara to just develop as a batsman in one days, and maybe Tilakaratne Dilshan, who has kept wickets before at the first-class level for his first-class team, can keep wickets in place of Kumar Sangakkara. It'll help Sri Lanka more, because he's the main hope now, as Sarathi mentions, in the middle order. That'll release some pressure off him. It's not a bad suggestion.
And he's the young heir to the throne. Mavanatapatu is going on in it, so too Sanath Jayasuriya. And it is very difficult once you've kept for 50 overs in the hustle and bustle of a limited overs game to come in and be the center, the focus of the batting, as I'm sure Kumar Sangakkara will be elevated to that position in years to come. No ball delivered by Butler. Just a matter of what sort of standard is Tilakaratne Dilshan with the gloves. But I also, looking at Dilshan, he has so much potential as well as a batsman to really make his mark on international cricket. He hasn't quite lived up to it yet, but from Sri Lanka's point of view, I certainly hope that he does.
It will not terribly hurt the combination, because both Tilakaratne Dilshan and Kumar Sangakkara are important members of this one-day squad. So the combination will remain the same. It'll not be the sea change, just a fine-tune adjustment. Dilshan, Al, Jawardne all need to kick on now. They've had quite a fair go at this level for quite some time. Oh, beaten. Appeal for caught behind, turned down by the umpire.
Buttler has bowled so well on debut. I think just probably created a little bit of pressure. Sangakkara trying to use his feet and disturb his length and his line. It was a loud appeal. Very difficult to tell whether it was inside edge or whether it flicked the pad. And there was a sound, might just have flicked the pad thigh on the way through.
Not a bad effort for a fellow who's playing his first ODI. Buttler, 9 overs, 1 for 20, 54 for 1.
It is a good idea to put some pressure on Marvan Atapattu. It's not tried to do anything spectacular, but he's kept it simple.
1-1.
And though he is on debut, he was in the thoughts of Bennett King for some time now. When the West Indies team training camp was announced to go to Australia last November, Buttler was one of those players called up by Bennett King in that camp. This is the wicket that he picked up. Tharanga gone. He's not of express pace, but at 31 he seems to have a good idea of the repetition of his bowling action, to be able to do it time and time again on a consistent area. We haven't seen him in the manner of Vass swinging the ball away from the left-handers or back into the right-handers. Okay, but it's his own way of bowling. Not everyone will be able to do that. But to make your debut under these circumstances must have been some sort of pressure. He hasn't shown that pressure. He's been on spot from ball one, so compliments to him.
Yes, Ian was just mentioning, he has kept it simple. He's not looked to generate pace. He has not looked to really get that swing going for himself. Just basic line length stuff. That is what you actually want from a medium pacer on this kind of a pitch. Pitch can play a few tricks on its own. All you need to do is to pitch it in the right areas. That one shaped back, and he held it also. Just a little slower in pace, that last delivery.
What he's also coped with as he comes towards the end of his spell is a combination of the right hand, left hand at the crease. Not always easy for the bowler to make that adjustment, but he's been superb. He's done it well, and he will want to end this spell not going for a boundary of this last delivery.
And it's a boundary. That spoils his figures. A half tracker put away through mid-wicket, but nevertheless an excellent performance with the ball on his first one international. 60 for 1.
Boundaries for Jacobs. You were talking about needing to bowl with a lot of overspin here, Shane. That would mean a bit of an adjustment for Stuart MacGill, because he bowls with a lot of side spin normally, doesn't he?
Yeah, the one thing with Stewie, he generally bowls a fairly round arm sort of delivery and gets a lot of turn. So to bowl the overspin is a little bit harder for him to do. But look, he's bowling some good deliveries out there at the moment. I'm sure he'll enjoy bowling to Nixon McLean here, because Nixon's probably in two minds, as you were saying before, and likes to play his shots. But, you know, he wants to sort of tough it out and hand in there Ridley Jacobs. But, you know, another couple of deliveries where he blocks, and I'm sure there's going to be a swing coming from Nixon McLean.
This is not meant to be a shot at your batting, but you usually find that most lower order players, if you do give it a bit of flight, 2 or 3 is about all they can stand, and then they lose patience.
That's the reason I said 2 or 3 blocks. That's all it takes me. As a tail end, as soon as it starts going up above the eyes 2 or 3 times in a row, you've got to have a dip.
Just wide of Mark Waugh. He's already taken 1 catch.
Looked like it might have been the straight one from Stuart MacGill. Nixon McLean was expecting it to turn. Just a little bit wide. Didn't get the hands of Mark Waugh, who's sensational in there. Doesn't miss too many. Anything near him, he'll gobble them up.
That's an indication of what we're talking about. If it's up in the air a little bit, the eyes start spinning for the lower order players.